So I've been looking for a strength and conditioning course high and low. I realized that there are well-recognized strength and conditioning programs like the CSCS courses or a degree in sports science. However, I feel that as a swim coach that does not intend to be a strength and conditioning specialist, I feel that these recognized degrees are a little bit of an overkill in terms of my objectives. And so when I encountered SURGE Strength Swimming Dryland Certification, I thought that this fits my goal, because all I wanted to do was to increase my awareness of what exercises to do with my swimmers and how to program them throughout the season, how to introduce these movements to the young age groupers, and maybe in terms of the higher level swimmers, how I could communicate with the specialized strength and conditioning coach in a more knowledgeable manner. When I first encountered this program, I had initial reservations in terms of the value of information that they will provide and the legitimacy of the program, whether or not it's recognized. They provide some free courses, free Dryland 101 courses, in which you can have a preview of the full course. The Dryland 101 coach is the one that I did, and upon going into this program, upon completing it, I realized that wow, there are some valuable things in this course that I'm really confident that I would learn something. And after I've done this Dryland 101 coaches, I've enrolled into the program. Again, it costs $599 USD. You can get a bulk discount if you have multiple coaches enrolling at once, so that's an option that you can explore. This certificate also provides you with some continuing education units to the NASM, the AFFA, AFAA, ISSA, and USA Triathlon, and these are quite recognized organizations in the world. This is how the certificate will look after you've passed the program. You get your name there, and then you can save it as a PDF file and use it as you need. Now I'm going to bring you through the whole course structure of the SURGE Strength Dryland Certification. Like I said earlier, it's a online self-paced learning methodology. It has 9 modules, excluding the tests, with a total of about 232 videos that you can watch that are in the form of a lecture. Each video, it spans about a minute to 20 minutes depending on the complexity of the topic that the instructor will be covering. You will have ungraded quizzes at the end of each module, and you can treat them as a knowledge check. And you will also have ungraded mid and end term tests, which also you can use as a knowledge check. Well, keep in mind that the questions that will appear in the graded finals will somewhat be recycled in these quizzes, midterms, and end term tests. So it's very wise to make sure you get them at least 90% right. The graded finals is a 60 question multiple choice question format, in which you will need to have an 80% correct answers to pass the test. Starting the course is the introduction module. Over here, the instructor welcomes you to the program and gives you a recommended action plan to complete the course. He recommends about 45 minutes per day, and in which that you can complete the entire course in about a month's time. However, of course, in reality, you need some time to digest the information. Sometimes you wind the videos back, sometimes you do extra homework by Googling or YouTubing further topics. And for me, I used about an hour or 2 per day, and it took me a full month to complete it. Officially starting the program, Module 1 Dryland Overview. This module, it covers foundational ideas of dryland training. The instructor spends a lot of time talking about things like the foundational qualities of athleticism. He answers questions like, why do you need to do dryland, and what are the goals that comes with it? Are there differences between concepts like strength versus fitness, hard work versus effective work? He also goes through the uniqueness of the sport of swimming and what it demands from athletes in terms of the athleticism from the athlete. The next module, movements and exercises. In this module, the instructor covers his favorite mobility drills, and he emphasizes on how movement is the core foundation of any strength and conditioning program. He brings you through his favorite mobility exercises with teaching points on how to teach your swimmers to perform these movements. He then brings you through his favorite progressions that he uses to teach his swimmers for each category of strength movements. The exercises for each category are broken down to 3 levels of difficulty so that coaches have the equipment and tools to cater to both experienced or non-experienced strength and conditioning participants. He also provides plenty of PDF resources with more exercises that you can explore and you can do your homework on. This next module, Principles of Strength and Conditioning. In this module, things get a little bit technical as we understand the physiology behind our training. Now, as a coach, while you don't need to know the nitty-gritty details about all the scientific stuff that's going on, we still need to understand these things so that we can program our strength and conditioning sessions in the most effective manner. Things are kept brief, but the outcome that you will get is the understanding of the types of muscles that we have in our body, how our muscle recruits when we do an activity, adaptations in our body that occurs with training, and all the energy systems in our body that we need to manage as a coach so that we can program an effective strength and conditioning session. This module, Periodization, is the last module before the program takes a break and it goes into the midterm ungraded tests. It covers things like what is periodization, why is it important, how many phases are there in dryland training, and how do you go about it when you are planning your workouts in relation to the season that you're in. It answers questions like how many sessions of dryland do we need, and more importantly, what variables can we tweak in each workout and exercise that coaches can play around with, and how it impacts the whole purpose of the exercise if we tweak certain variables. Right after the midterms test, we go straight into the next module, which is assessment and testing. Here, the instructor talks about ways for you to assess mobility as well as strength. He provides us with certain athletic standards of each movement categories, and he tells us how to conduct, how to evaluate, and how to form action plans based on test and assessment performances. My favorite part about this module is how the instructor uses case studies, and he shows us how he goes about in developing a training plan that is accommodating to the weakness of the swimmer after doing these assessments and performance tests. The next module, Creating a Dryland Program. This was my personal favorite because of how pragmatic this whole module was. It's basically an extension of the periodization module, but it is more in-depth. The instructor dives deeply into how he would go about in planning a season, a weekly and daily sessions of his S&C program in relation to the swim season. And he breaks it down to age groups: college swimmers, secondary school swimmers, and age group swimmers. How would you go about in adjusting your strength and conditioning program if the weekend has competition? If next week is a taper meet, if it's not taper meet, what are you going to do? Training Specificity. This module shows us how we can fine-tune our dryland programming to accommodate for the level of athlete that we're working with. Of course, a college swimmer and high school swimmer, an 11 to 14-year-old swimmer versus a 10 and under age group swimmer will all have their own different needs in terms of strength and conditioning work. How do you go about in planning that is taught over here. He also goes on to talk about interesting topics like the effectiveness of swimming or event-specific training, He addresses issues like when should you put your S&C program? Should you do it before or after training? How would it affect the session that you're planning to have, depending on whether you choose the first or the latter? He talks about dryland conditioning work. Is it actually a good thing, or is it just a waste of time? The last module of the certification program is equipment. It talks about how you need equipment to progressively get better and stronger. And it gives you recommended equipment depending on your budget and your team size. It helps you plan what you need to deliver a good S&C program to your swimmers. To sum up my thoughts about the program, the first positive that I really like about this course is that it's really well structured and explained. The instructor took his time to be concise and he explains concepts in very simple manner. It was easy to follow along and an overall pleasant experience. He's also very encouraging, and at certain points in the module, he will cheer you on and gives you a morale boost. Second point that I think the course is really good is that it teaches us what needs to be prioritized in any S&C program, when to prioritize it, and most importantly, how to prioritize it. With these things being kept in mind, no matter how much you tweak your program, as long as you have your core priorities right, you wouldn't go wrong. He also provided a lot of practical examples. He didn't just spew out theoretical knowledge onto us and expect us to apply it into our day-to-day coaching right away. He gives examples and also case studies where he will go through his thought process with you. And as coaches, we are all pragmatic people. We like to figure out how things are done and replicate good stuff and disregard not so good stuff. And I think most of us will appreciate this method of learning rather than just theoretical spewing of information. This course, however, is a foundational course. It is a great foundational course and I highly recommend it. However, I think that it's not in-depth enough, as I am aware that strength and conditioning can be extremely intricate in ideas and philosophies. Next con of this program is that the exercises that is demonstrated through the program is somewhat limited. I understand that it's an online course, there's only so much videos you can put into your course structure. He does, however, shares with us a list of exercises that he likes to use, and which has a lot of other options, where if you are more studious, you can definitely YouTube them. Your internet is a huge resource, so I don't see this as a huge problem. All in all, I think this course is great for coaches who are looking to kickstart their knowledge in strength and conditioning, because it is a really well structured foundational course for swim coaches. Even for coaches who are somewhat familiar with the strength and conditioning, who are looking for some kind of formal qualification so that they can, showcase that they know what they're doing. I think this course fits that purpose very well, and it's not an overkill compared to more in-depth courses like the CSCS, for example, which I think if you are not aiming to be a strength and conditioning specialist would be an overkill. However, for coaches who are already qualified in strength and conditioning, let's say you have done a master's degree in sports science, or maybe you already have your CSCS, then I'm not really sure if there's a lot of things that you can get out of the program. From the case studies and practical examples, you would get to see the thought processes of how programming works specifically in the context of swimming, but other than that, I'm not really sure if this course is right for you. And that's it. That's my review of the SURGE Strength Dryland Certification. I think that it's a great course. I've learned a great deal about strength and conditioning from it. And I believe most swim coaches are not full-fledged strength and conditioning specialists or experts. So definitely there will be something to be gained from this course. If you still have reservations about enrolling for the full course, highly recommend you to try the Dryland 101 coaches. It gives you a sneak peek of the whole program, and if it's right for you, go ahead and sign up. And thank you.